Hello and welcome to the big picture. With the change in government at the center, governors appointed by the previous government have resigned or been asked to resign, and a new set of governors have been appointed. While some of the old governors like M.K. Narayanan, B.L. Joshi, B.V. Vanchu and Vakum Purushottam have resigned, some others like Sheila Dikshit, Shivraj Patil among others are still holding on. Meanwhile, there is intense debate over the need or otherwise of the other governors to resign, and if they don't, what will be the consequence? The issue which has cropped up after the change of every government almost since 1977 has however required a new dimension post-2010. The Supreme Court judgment on a petition filed by B.P. Singhal has changed the way this issue is looked at. The court has said the removal of the governors is justiciable. One of the issues raised in the Sarkaria Commission report about appointment of governors was that they should be eminent persons from various walks of life and not someone who has been in politics, and that too more recently. Despite all this, every government continues to appoint leaders from their own parties, more as a sinecure. Today we will look at all the dimensions of the controversy and whether anything has changed in the process of appointment of governors and what could be done to insulate governors from such controversies in the future. To discuss this, I have with me Bhishma Narayan Singh, a former Union Minister and also former Governor of Assam and Tamil Nadu, T.S.R. Subramanian, former Cabinet Secretary, Vikas Singh, former Additional Solicitor General of India, and Vinod Sharma, Political Editor of the Hindustan Times. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Singh, I would like to come to you first. You have held these positions of the governor for several years in important states. But every 5 years, every time the government changes, we continue to see this kind of a controversy cropping up. Is there no end to it? Can there be no end to it?
There is end to it in my view, because as you have correctly mentioned, it has started from 1977 and then successive governments. Congress, non-Congress governments, they all have done it as a matter by and large, to be very fair. So the point is that committees have been also set up.
Yes.
Like Sarkaria Commission,
yes,
you have just mentioned. And actually when I was in Assam and Meghalaya, Sarkaria interviewed me also, as a matter of fact. There is a clear-cut recommendation now how the governor should be appointed. And you have also mentioned that in recent past there should be any politics and all that. But for political people in a democratic setup, you can't stop. That has to be man of eminence, ability, integrity, and all that. These things will have to be considered. But to my mind, now this is the right time after the judgment of the Supreme Court on 7th May 2010. Now, for the first time, that I really very much feel about it. Why the Supreme Court has to step in? You can imagine. Article 155, governor is appointed. Then Article 156(1). Earlier also a constitution bench was appointed, headed by Justice Chandrachud.
Right.
They also did not touch it. They said that governor's office is a totally constitutional office. It is a creation of the constitution. No instruction can be given to governor. Governor is not government servant, like that.
Yes.
But
governor is not a government servant.
Yes, but he did not touch 156(1), pleasure of the president. Now we have created such a situation that the Supreme Court has to step in, and they have to say very justiciable now. You mentioned also.
Yes. So, Mr. Subramaniam, doctrine of pleasure, which used to be the fundamental thing as far as the governor's thing, that after the 2010 judgment, do you think that has become, the doctrine of pleasure has been replaced by reasoning need to be given when you remove governors?
Yes, that is one aspect of it, I think. I think there are 7 or 8 issues we have to look at now. There has been, as has been mentioned, very clear deterioration in all institutional arrangements in India since 1977. Unfortunately, this post is a constitutional post, which is supposed to be a neutral umpire post.
Absolutely.
Elder brother giving advice, etc., has now become a purely political post. It has happened due to extraneous circumstances, and also, unfortunately, many governors from different streams of life have also behaved even worse than government servants they have been. So this is the current situation which has happened all over. I think 2-3 things are important. These are essentially political appointments. We have to accept, unlike 311 article, unlike etc., there's no constitutional guarantee. So I think at least the pro forma resignation. See, these are political appointments. These are not. These are not. I think that would be ethical and proper. And number one. Number two, higher standards in appointment of governors.
You said something about pro forma resignation.
I think everyone should resign. All political appointees, when the nature of politics changes, when the whole system changes, for example, in a company and a new management comes in, at that time, all senior board members, all senior management resign. And I think it's only proper that one they do. Number two, this is also a reflection of the lack of authority of the President of India. Successive presidents have not used provisions in the constitution to assert themselves and stand their place, and the powers of the governors derive from the president. So the president in Delhi has been neutralized. Is now purely
can the president act in these cases? See, can the president act on his own? He has to act under the advice of the government.
Exactly, but that's the whole point I'm making here. Over 60 years of time, there are nooks and crannies in the constitution where the president could have found a niche for himself. For today, it doesn't matter whether we have a president or not. It's ceremonial. Sorry to say, it doesn't matter whether we have a governor or not. Ceremonial. We have reduced ourselves to that state, both as I said, to extraneous factors and also, sadly, due to the behavior of some governors also.
No, if you're saying that the governor's role and the president's role has become ceremonial,
yes.
Let us stick to the governors. Let's not go into the president's thing. As far as the governor, if you're saying it's ceremonial, then why all this controversy? Why there is so much of controversy every time the government changes?
There should not be.
And sir, and one more important thing as far as the 2010 judgment is concerned, this is where the controversy has arisen now today, because the Supreme Court judgment very clearly said that a new regime can remove a governor on the ground that she is out of sync with the policy and ideology part, or that the ruling party has been rejected by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has rejected that whole concept that, earlier concept has been rejected by the Supreme Court.
I have the highest possible regard for the Supreme Court. I was a petitioner in the order for tenures for civil servants, etc., etc.
Yes.
But when you come to the office of the governor, this is a purely political kind of an issue. This is a matter of governance at the highest level. I'm not quite sure that Supreme Court should be the arbiter in this. We should be guided by the commission that we had earlier, which has given Sarkaria Commission. Supreme Court, to invoke Supreme Court for appointment, tomorrow are you going to invoke them for the appointment of the President of India? And therefore, we have to take some care here that Supreme Court should be extremely careful entering this area, and the executive should be extremely careful in approaching the Supreme Court in this highly sensitive kind of an area. So it is not like a civil servant under 311. He is a political appointee, and therefore I think decency requires that he resigns.
Anyway, it was not the executive who approached the Supreme Court in this matter, it was a private individual.
Whatever.
Anyway, Mr. Vikas Singh, how do you look at this? In the context of what Mr. Subramanian says, that this is an office in which the Supreme Court should not get involved in these matters. It has got involved, it has passed a judgment. Now it is, whether we like it or not, it is the law. And which says that governor's removal is justiciable.
Well, there are two aspects to this which I think is very important. Firstly, we are looking at an ideal situation which should exist, and secondly, that is the actual situation.
Right.
Sarkaria Commission, Supreme Court, etc. are dealing with an ideal situation where you are appointing people as governors, people who are having high integrity and who are apolitical, who are not associated with any political party, people who have some standing in society. Now that system is not there in the actual parlance. In the actual parlance, we all see that governor's office is now basically a parking place for all these, retired politicians, who don't get position in the cabinet, etc., and who are not fit to remain probably cabinet ministers anymore. So you place them as governors. People who, sort of fail in the electoral battle. Now, as far as the legal position is concerned, I don't agree with the Supreme Court for the reason that this is a position where if a politician is appointed merely because he has allegiance to the political party which is in power at the center, then in all fairness, that person should on his own resign the day this government, goes.
So you are agreeing with this?
It's a case where there are three kinds of appointment under there are three kinds of appointments in our constitution.
Right.
One is the appointment where the doctrine of pleasure comes in, like for instance the Attorney General or the Additional Solicitor General or the Governor, etc., the Minister also. Now these positions, according to me, the Supreme Court has gone a little, ahead and said that no, tomorrow if the Attorney General is to be removed, the Attorney General will say no, but I am the best Attorney General and you don't have a better person bringing in my place, so accordingly this appointment is bad. Will it be justiciable? So this second category of employees are, like the government servants who have the protection under the 310, 11, etc. And the third category are the Supreme Court judges, Comptroller, Auditor General, etc., who have a constitutional protection to the position. So the first and second come under the doctrine of pleasure. The second with a caveat that it can't be removed without there being an inquiry, etc. And if you have to dispense with the inquiry, then you have to have good reasons. But as far as the first is concerned, in my view, the Supreme Court has gone completely wrong, especially in the facts of present day India, where it is quite obvious that only political people are being appointed as governors. Ideally, you should have a situation where, there should be a select committee which should have people of eminent people on their list, and they should be updating that list regularly. And then from that list, if you pick up people and put them as governors, then to remove them, then arbitrariness can come in. But if you are picking up people only because of your allegiance to the government in power, and because you are a member of that political party, and then to say that he should have a tenure, and then to say that he'll have a protection, then to say that it can't be done without, just because a new government has come in, according to me, the Supreme Court judgment is absolutely wrong. Probably it was not rightly argued, although it is ironical that the Supreme Court judgment is coming on a petition when actually Congress came to power.
Absolutely.
In 2004, Mr. Singhal filed a petition that the governors appointed by BJP
There are a lot of
should be allowed to continue.
There are a lot of
That
ironies in that,
decision
actually.
took
A lot of ironies in that. Who argued
A lot
what,
of
and now
ironies.
whoever argued whatever, and it's completely changed now. Yeah.
Now the judgment which you obtained to save your governors are going to be used against you for the Congress appointed governors.
Right. Yes, Vinod, how would you look at it? The question is now that one set of governors who are all political appointees, some of them politicians, has been now replaced by another set of governors who are also political appointees, all of them virtually politicians.
It was expected in the light of the 2010 judgment of the Supreme Court, which Mr. Vikas Singh says is a flawed judgment. Could be, it is perhaps, I'll just tell you in a minute, that the president will intervene and not allow this to happen. But, if you read the judgment of 2010, the president has been assigned no role at all by the Supreme Court in this. He has to continue to function the way he has been functioning till now, merely as one who appoints the governors as per the advice of Council of Ministers.
But
if somebody goes in a petition to the Supreme Court,
right,
and says that my removal is mala fide and arbitrary, then the Supreme Court will decide. It is justiciable before the Supreme Court,
right,
and not in the court of the president, so to speak.
Right. No, it is not.
Yes. Now, this judgment is flawed. It is believed. And, some people in the presidency or close to the presidency are credited with this view, that there was an earlier judgment which propounded what has come to be known perhaps as the mandate of, the doctrine of mandate. Now, this came in the light of Charan Singh's dismissal of state governments. And the court held that the doctrine of mandate prevails when a sitting government has lost the mandate of people, then it should go and a new order should be ushered in. Now, this 2010 judgment does not refer to that doctrine of mandate at all. And in certain cases, like Sheila Dikshit in Kerala, the doctrine of mandate does not apply. The doctrine of mandate also does not apply in the case of Odisha, in the case of West Bengal, where states have given a different judgment. And then if you read it together with the Sarkaria Commission's recommendations that the chief minister should be consulted in the appointment of governors. Now, in the latest round...
There's also another very interesting thing in the Sarkaria Commission, which said that if there is a government in a state which doesn't belong to the same party as the ruling party at the center, that ruling party at the center's person should not be appointed as governor of that state, which has not been followed
which has not been followed. And frankly, I think that this judgment of 2010 is open to review and should be reviewed by the Supreme Court, because the earlier judgment propounding the doctrine of mandate was a bigger bench, I think about 11-member bench, and this is just a 5-member bench.
But you know, that is not
and
the point.
Supreme Court has an institutional memory, and there has to be a logical flow in the ideas and in the judgments that are coming out of that
No,
court.
Vinod, apart from the one of the thing aspect is of course the judicial aspect, the legal aspect of it, the political aspect of it. Has anything changed at all?
No, not at all. Because if you look at the choice of governors, now Constitution, when you read at the Constitution, there's a Constituent Assembly debates and all that. Governors were envisaged as people of great learning, people of great principles, people who would be able to insulate themselves from the vagaries of politics and the lure of office. That all that has not happened. It actually is the lure of office that makes people pitch for governorships, even after having superannuated in terms of novel service. It's an order of gerontocracy. You see, if you look at the governors of today, 70, 80, all gerontocrats.
Beyond 80.
All gerontocrats. And I wonder whether these people are sometimes, they have minds agile enough to apply on constitutional issues, because unlike the president, governor also rules the state. President never rules India. Governors rule the state.
You raised important issue. Mr. Bishnarayan Singh, you should tell us now some important points raised by Vinod and also Mr. Subramaniam and others. One of the things, do you think that politicians should be appointed governors at all or not? Because this is a fundamental question which has been discussed ad nauseum in this country, and there is no answer to it.
Surely politicians should be also appointed governor. This is totally wrong argument in my view, in the sense that in a democratic setup, you see the previous government, the Congress government, led by Dr. Manmohan Singh, more than 50% governors were either IPS officers or IAS officers. In my view, and Subramanian ji has also earlier mentioned, this is a political post, as a matter of fact. You can appoint people of any walk of life, but they must be people of eminence, ability and integrity. These three things they will have to keep in mind. And therefore, I mentioned about Sarkaria Commission.
Right.
You will have to now...
So your argument is that there is nothing wrong in appointing politicians?
No.
One second, sir. Let me finish my question. My two questions, because what has come out of what Vinod also said, and what the debate is also in this country. One, there is nothing wrong in appointing politicians. Second, nothing wrong in appointing politicians of the ruling party.
No, it depends. You see, for example, I will tell you. I was appointed governor when I was not unemployed. And I was not...
you were a union
60
minister.
or 70, I tell you.
Yes, you were not.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you.
Yes.
I was governor in almost 6-7 states of this, including Shri Subramaniam Ji state also.
Yes. Yeah.
You are now UP.
He's a UP cadre officer.
No.
He's trying to disown his own state. It won't be allowed.
You are a chameleon. Annai Varkum Vadakam. But I was governor there also, and the government was not Congress government there. Jayalalitha ji for the first time became chief minister.
Right.
In my tenure, I appointed, as a matter of fact, her as the chief minister of the state. President rule was imposed there.
Right.
And Barnala ji resigned, then I took over.
Right.
I had no problem with her, and I think she had
Barnala
also...
ji resigned under controversial circumstances.
He?
Barnala ji had resigned under controversial
because
circumstances.
he did not want president rule there.
Right.
He was Northeast, I was governor there, in Assam. P.K. Mahanta, I appointed him, he was AGP person, as a chief minister. I don't think even today, if you will ring up P.K. Mahanta, he will, I hope so. I should not mention about my own achievement. For Gandhians, especially I belong to a Gandhian family, I should not talk about self-promotion. But to just ring up, still he is alive. Had he any problem with me? I appointed him as the chief minister of Assam. Assam Accord was signed in my tenure. Governor has a big role to play, in my view. This is never ornamental sinecure. It is up to you to think.
Mr. Subramaniam?
Very interesting questions have been raised. I think yes, in theory yes, but the way it has functioned in the past, particularly after 77, this is a relevant debate 20 years back. Unfortunately,
it continues to be relevant today.
Yes and no. Yes and no. For example, in the old government, we mentioned the appointment of IAS and IPS officers. It is a reward for services rendered. It is not for any eminence, particularly the kinds of people who have come, not for any eminence. It is openly an invitation to come and help me today, and I'll make sure that you get a berth on retirement. When this is the motivation, when this is the approach, I have seen governor, for example, one in UP, who wrote 20 pages recommending dissolution, not a single line why it should be done. Last line was, I now recommend dissolution. And there's nothing to say, no constitutional breakdown, 1, 2, 3, 4, nothing. So we have got also a lot of, shall we say, intellectual dishonesty in this area. So ultimately it has now descended to a political sinecure position. To some extent doesn't affect mainland administration. We should leave it alone and say it is not something of national importance.
So are you trying to say that it is not of national importance? So
as it is evolving.
All this debate and discussions.
Yes, as it is evolved, yes, it is not like the appointment of a chief minister, not the appointment of a union minister, not like a CEC or a CVC. To my mind, a governor is now, I think to some extent it is pelf and privilege. It is the government of the day has got a mandate. Every union, every company, every large institution needs some berths to give to sinecure people, to various people who rendered services. To my mind, this is a non sequitur argument.
Vinod?
Well, I think Subramaniam is
Mr. Subramaniam has sought to end the debate on this for once and for all, actually.
It's okay, and he's right, in practical terms, that's what it boils down to. The politics of patronage, you see. But I personally believe that, as in the recent elections, we saw that people who on the eve of elections changed sides and were given party tickets to contest elections, and the MPs now from the party in power, and earlier also there were MPs from party in power. Well, I think that if this is what it is, then governors may also be given option of changing sides, writing a letter to the government.
They do.
That you see, please,
They do also.
henceforth we shall be following whatever is told to us in the interest of your government and your party. Look, I think it's not a laughing matter. You see, the army chiefs salute the governors of our country. Governor in the warrant of precedence figures higher than so many other functionaries. I think even than the Attorney General.
No, Chief Justice of India.
The
Even the
Attorney
Chief Justice
General,
of
the
India.
Solicitor
He's
General,
above
Governor
than
is
Chief
higher.
Justice of India.
Governor is higher.
Yeah,
and I think that we should try and restore dignity to that office and also to the office of the Speaker. You see, I mean, frankly...
we're not discussing Speaker.
No, what I'm saying is that, frankly, a Speaker should be allowed to get elected unopposed. If he's an impartial Speaker.
Yeah, well,
these are the
separate
glorious
argument.
traditions which we inherited, but we failed to protect them and preserve them, I mean, a governor's institution is necessary in this country because the center has to have a beachhead in the states, in order to protect the security of India, in order to protect the wider interests of the country, and because the center has a vision
but
which
all
is
this is fine.
broader than that of the state government.
No, all this is fine, but the question is, how do we have such appointments, governments making such appointments of eminent people who are of unquestionable integrity? That is where the problem lies now.
So that's where the problem lies. In this list, there figures a person, a former Speaker of Uttar Pradesh, who doesn't have a glorious record as Speaker as well.
That's the whole problem, every time.
Therefore, Sarkaria Commission recommendation has
as
been
Mr.
So I think
Subramaniam
the
pointed
state
out,
government should be consulted and they should be given a say in the appointment of governors. I'm not saying the way the Supreme Court has a say today, the collegium has a say today in the appointment of judges. I'm not saying that. But at least I think there should be some aankh ki sharam before the center foists a governor on the state government, especially when their government is not in power there, and that is people have mandate, have fresh mandate to continue to govern in the
That is exactly
states.
the point Sarkaria Commission makes, that be careful when you're appointing a governor in a state in which your government is not there. Mr. Vikas Singh, quickly, you think there is any legal solution to this problem?
Well, according to me, there is no legal solution because when the Constituent Assembly was drafting the Constitution, they deliberately kept this office. They could have also provided for either a selection committee for appointment of the governor,
Right.
and fixed tenure for the governor. They kept it as a office which will be under the doctrine of pleasure. But the governor's office is such a high constitutional office. I personally feel that the center, the day has come where we should all put our heads together and come and evolve a consensus that whenever a government appoints a governor, they should look at very eminent people, preferably non-politicians, and people, if you are appointing people of that eminent category and that integrity and that, sort of standing, then you should also give them that security of tenure. But it will all have to be, because you can't amend the constitution. I would say probably this would be a basic feature of the constitution. But if otherwise the constitution will have to be amended to give some security of tenure to the governor.
Okay.
Because otherwise this office of the governor has really become an arm of the central government. The central government is ruling the state through that governor, which is not desirable in a federal polity.
Okay.
Which is really something which should be
point,
eschewed.
Girish, there is a very disturbing thing which happened in recent days, where governors were interrogated in the Raj Bhavan,
Right,
by policemen.
Exactly.
Now, I wonder, you see, I've been told, I'm not sure about this, that this government was advised that, the Attorney General was okay with this idea. But even if the Attorney General was okay with this idea, why should the governors be okay with the idea? They should have either demitted office first and then, presented
Mr. Singh?
themselves for
Yes.
interrogation.
This is very important. The point which you raised is also an important point. But my question to you is this: since it has not been possible in all these years to ensure the security of tenure of the governors, because every time government changes, it's happening. So, is it a good idea to make this appointment of the governors co-terminus with the government at the center?
Actually, what had happened, if you'll go through the proceeding of the Constituent Assembly, why this pleasure was given, the doctrine of pleasure, because governors can't be impeached. You see,
Right.
the Assembly can't impeach a governor.
Right.
I'm coming to the real point.
We are coming
Here
out-
you
running
can
out of time,
impeach the
quickly, sir.
president, but you can't impeach a governor.
Right.
Therefore, this
one second,
clause was there.
I'll talk to you later.
But it was so misused, you see, ultimately Supreme Court has to step in. The Supreme Court did not do, the judges did not do on their own.
They were approached.
A member of parliament of the BJP had gone there.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Subramaniam, this making it co-terminus with would that be a
I think for me
solution
the
to it?
crux of the argument is that ultimately in a democracy, management of the polity is a political matter. The governor is a political representative, and I think is morally bound to go the moment the mandate at the center changes. He also automatically resigns. It's up to the government of India to say, please continue or accept the resignation.
But what happens? What happens to all this hallowed, ideas of having that is something where we are not having governors of
I would say even if
indisputable
they are people of
integrity.
eminence,
Ah.
even if they are selected neutrally, because it has come through a political mandate from the center, it is incumbent on them to ask to go, up to the center to decide whether
So
to stay
the
or
question
not.
of
They are not government servants.
So
They are
the
not government
question
servants.
the question of merit, which is being discussed, that doesn't have any
Maybe
placement at all.
look at the case of Amartya Sen.
Right.
He made a certain point which supported the UPA government, and he became a matter of major controversy.
agree
So
with
where
you.
is the eminence?
I agree with you.
eminence-
Over time, as I said, governors have themselves acted as pure messenger boys for the government of India. It's a fact of life. And therefore, you are what you behave like.
Okay, Mr. Singh, very quickly, last word.
Yeah.
You have any suggestion which can
My suggestion
resolve
is
this
that this is the right time that the government, even the president, if he takes lead in this matter, and he should come to make a consensus that Sarkaria Commission recommendations should be implemented in later in
in letter and spirit. I think on that note we need to end, but we'll wait and watch whether anything will change. So far, nothing seems to have changed. We keep having these debates and discussions on the governor's appointment and dismissals every 5 years. We hope that in the next 5 years, there will be some, as Mr. Singh hopes, that there will be some kind of a consensus on the appointments. Thanks to all my guests, Mr. Bhishma Narayan Singh, T.S.R. Subramaniam, Vinod Sharma, and Vikas Singh. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture, same time tomorrow.